I mean, how well do we ever know anybody anyway, right? I mean, when people talk about relationships and the value of a relationship over promiscuity, they tend to talk about finding something deeper, something richer, something more meaningful. And I suppose that thinking is predicated on the sense that, and I'm not advocating for one-night stands or anything here, but I suppose it's predicated on the idea that you spend more time with somebody, you get to know them on a deeper level. It's not just about physical intimacy, it's about much more than that. And that's where that depth comes from, because you really get to know that person. They get to know you, you're vulnerable in front of them, they're vulnerable in front of you, etc., etc. And that, I think, is what we all want in a way. That's what we all seem to strive for, somebody to understand us, really. We want to be understood. We want to be seen, as the kids say these days. My question, though, is whether that is actually a realistic goal, whether that is actually something that really works in the real world. And I'm not sure that it is, to be honest. And the reason I say that is that I've been in relationships with people, and you look back on it years later, and it's funny because sometimes it takes a long time, like a year, maybe a couple of years, when you come out of a relationship, to really be able to see that relationship clearly, to really, because when you're in the middle of something, when you're in it, you can't see the wood for the trees in a way. You're blinded by the emotions and the proximity of that person and the feelings and just it being part of your everyday reality. And then when you come out of that reality, when you come out of the relationship, slowly over time, as you get over the loss of the person and you start to come back to yourself in a way. Because I think in a relationship you can become part submerged by the other person's personality in a way. You can sort of become enmeshed with the other person. As you start to come back to yourself and you start to look back on the relationship, you start to understand it more. You know, you start to reconfigure it in your mind and figure things out, and little realizations will come to you and little understandings perhaps that you didn't have before. And I look back on relationships that I've had in the past, and there is a part of me that thinks, I mean, how well did I really know that person? Really? You know, I mean, yeah, we spent years together, you know, sharing a bed together, sleeping next to each other every night, holding each other while we slept, telling each other our hopes, dreams, our fears, and all of that kind of thing. But even then, really, how well did I know the person? Did I really know them at all? You know, and if you don't actually really get to know another person, because remember, as human beings, we all exist in our own consciousness, don't we? We are all hermetically sealed, as I think I've said in a previous video. And with the best will in the world, nobody else is going to get inside my head, and I'm not going to get inside anybody else's head, because you know, it's just we haven't invented mind reading, we haven't invented telepathy, so there's a limit to how much of anybody you can ever truly understand, and it depends on how much they give away, how much they're willing to really divulge, and how much you receive of that, I suppose. And so, yeah, I think when I look back, I wonder with some of these relationships, really how well at all I knew the person and how well they knew me. And as I say, if the answer is not a lot, then it does rather beg the question, well, this search for depth and for meaning and for something more, is it a futile search in a way? And I'm not therefore arguing, well, just have one night stands, because why bother? But at the same time, I do think it's slightly naive when people talk about looking for meaning in relationships, when people talk about, well, why don't you know, it's time to settle down, it's time to look for something that has more depth to it. I think that is slightly naive, because I'm not certain that that's ever really possible, if that makes sense. I'm not sure that we ever really know another person. And this comes up a lot. You hear stories, don't you, of people who were married and then maybe their partner has an affair, or their partner was having an affair for many years and they never knew, and you know, all these kind of secrets that don't come out until afterwards. And I'm not saying that therefore every person that you engage with is doing something behind your back. It's not like that, but it's like, I think there's a certain unknowability about other human beings that we just don't really want to acknowledge, because we want to think everything's all nice and rosy and you can just meet somebody and it's all going to be flowers and hearts forever. And it's just not really like that. So you've got to take this into account when you think about what you want, because I think necessarily in most relationships a lot is concealed, actually. I think, and as much as you know, you can be the 2D alpha online and say, yeah man, I'm just going to be straight up about everything, and if I want to sleep with 10 other women while I'm with her, I'm just going to tell her and she'll just have to put up with that, bro. As much as you can play that card online, in reality, I think what happens is that people tend to fudge the truth because they don't want to hurt the other person. They don't want to get into trouble. They don't want to risk losing the other person, and so on and so forth. And it's likely that as and when you get into a relationship, you're going to do that. You're not going to tell her everything. You're not going to tell her the reality, every single thing about you and what you really want, because otherwise you'd probably be saying to her, well, actually, you know, I like you, but I will probably sleep with your friend as well. You know, you're just not going to say things like that, or most people aren't. So even on that very basic level, she doesn't really know you, and you don't really know her, because she's going to be thinking similar things that she's not going to say to you, because she doesn't want to hurt you, she doesn't want to upset your feelings, she wants to keep you, she doesn't want to lose you, blah, blah, blah. So in conclusion, the notion that you can ever fully know someone, I think, is faulty at best, and it's probably an illusion. And so therefore, perhaps it's just not something we should strive for, really. I think that when we go into a relationship, when we go into a romance, you know, we do so understanding on some level that it's a bit of a fiction. We do so in the knowledge, even if we don't want to admit it to ourselves, we do so in the knowledge that we are engaging in play acting in a way. And so therefore, why not? If you want to just keep things more casual and you don't want to engage on that level, then it may be that you're not missing out on much, put it that way. It may be that the Trojan horse is empty. It may be that the emperor is wearing no clothes. So, I don't know what you think about that, but let me know your thoughts. Maybe I'm completely wrong, I don't know. I am an avoidant after all, so I probably am. Let me know your thoughts, stick them in the comments box below. If you are affected by all or any of the topics in today's video, then you can get on a call with me and we can have a chat, and maybe I can help you with some coaching or some mentoring of some kind. Email me, troy@realtroyfrancis.com, or hit the link below and you can book a free call with me in my calendar. I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.